And we find out if we can take a calculated risk. Well, what is risk? Someone says, what's risk? How would you answer that question? A board game, okay. Come back, you'll have to repeat this session. What's risk?
The opportunity to fail.
Opportunity to fail, okay, that's a very fatalistic look. Well, in the interest of time, it's measurable uncertainty, if you will. What's the probability I'm going to get hit on the head by a falling meteorite? I can't measure that, so I'm not going to worry about it, okay? If it happens, it happens, okay? But I can go through risk assessment. A lot of us do this as part of our jobs. We do it for our clients, but do we do it in our lives? And of all these different components that are in there, which is the most critical component to you in your life? Historical data, risk assessment, probability calculations, risk tolerance, management, assignment, avoidance. Which one, please? Survey says?
Avoidance.
Not avoidance. Tolerance. Risk tolerance. Okay, you get the teddy bear. Risk tolerance, because that's personal. You're willing to do stuff that I'm not willing to do and vice versa. Okay? Yeah. I think they named a hamburger patty after him at the end of that run. But it should be based on your risk capacity. How much money can you afford to lose? Don't be afraid of things. Define it. How much time am I willing to invest? What's important? It tells you how you make your choices based on your risk tolerance. The more risk you're willing to take, the whole different array of things that you're going to do. And it really reflects who are you. And with most guys, we said, who are you? Oh, I'm a systems engineer, I do this. Or I'm a security consultant, I do that. Or I'm a public speaker, or I'm a bum, or whatever it is. We tend to identify who we are by our roles. And I say most men because that's probably still the vast majority of this audience today, but you talk to some women, you find, well, I'm a mother. I have 3 great kids or something. Men and women's brains are wired differently. We think about things differently. And you have interesting work, you're going to get paid well, but is that your best dream? Are you living your dream? Because if you've got a job, unless you're the majority shareholder, the person who started the company, you're operating within the dream with somebody else who set that up. And so that's what I call G-Mark's law of dreams. If you're not pursuing your dream, you are part of someone else's. Well, I got this great job, pays $150,000. Yeah, but why does it pay that money? And who's paying it to you? Because you're making them $300,000 a year. I had a job working for Ernst & Young. In fact, some of you people know my first day on the job was in Manhattan. I was going to run their Wall Street practice, and I showed up for work on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001 at 8 o'clock. Because the day before I was speaking in Washington, so I started on a Tuesday. And 46 minutes later, first plane hit the World Trade Center. When you talk about fear and things like that, I ended up going down there to go ahead and try to see what I could do. And I realized afterwards, talking about like the PTSD that you do, not like the folks who go over in Afghanistan, but you understand what it's like to fight with something and have to beat it back down again. But I had a pretty good salary back then. This is what, 9 years ago? $200,000 base plus bonus. But I had to bring in a $5 million worth of business. That's $100,000 every week of closed, signed business. That's a tough nut to make, especially when the World Trade Centers come down that very morning. And so that job lasted about 5 months because I couldn't close any deals. I had 8 in the pipeline, nobody wanted to do it. Everybody was afraid. But it was good money while it lasted, but I was part of somebody else's dream because the real guy making the money was the partner. Nope, it was the senior partner. Yep. And you go up the food chain. Anybody here that had just one job in your life and you're over the age of 15? See, my mom has 3 brothers, and all 3 of them had the same employer for their whole professional life. My Uncle Dan, they finally retired him at the age of 80 as a physics professor at Canisius College. He was there as an undergraduate. He just stayed on forever and ever, his PhD. Another one of my uncles retired as a comptroller of A&P when he started out as a grocery clerk. Most people work for somebody else. And even Machiavelli, who wrote this over 500 years ago, will say that men will change masters willingly, hoping to better themselves. So this G-Mark's law of employment. Why do you have a job? And why does it pay? Here's why. As long as you're making your employer more money than they're paying you. Very simple. Nothing magic. Not because they like you. Well, it might be because you're cute if you're working for a jerk or something, like an old, dirty old man boss. But reality is, the economic equation is you have a job as long as you're making more money than they're paying you. Unless you're a government worker. And all bets are off. Why? You think you got a great deal. But they got an even better deal. Who here's making more money than your parents did at this age in your life? My dad never made more than $30,000 a year in his life. But he's always surrounded by friends and family and fun. He did pretty well in that regard. There's a great book out there, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you ever heard of it. Read it. You've done it. What does he mean? Employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. When you're on the left, you trade your time for money. When you're on your right, something else gives you money. I got a buddy of mine, lives here in San Diego. He's a year older than I am. Makes $4.5 million a year. He's got over 1,000 employees. Not bad. He said, I don't go to work before 9:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the afternoon. I come home, meet my kids from school. I hired vice presidents. Everybody else does all that stuff. Where do you want to be, left side or right side? You want to work to the right side as best you can. Want to achieve your dream? Figure out what's holding you back. Is it lack of funds? Anybody got infinite money here? I don't. You probably don't either. Lack of people, equipment, technology, time. Those are their 5 basic resources. But if you ask the master, there is no lack. Fear alone it is that holds you back. It is fear. We got to conquer that. So I'm going to take you into my G-Mark's cave. Anybody heard of the allegory of Plato's cave? Yeah. See, everybody else is Googling it right now, or looking up Wikipedia. Well, with apologies to Plato, you're hanging by the end of a rope. It's totally dark. You can't see anything. And this voice says, let go of the rope and fall to the floor. You're afraid you're going to fall? You have no idea how far down it is. It could be 20 feet. It could be 200 feet. All you know is it's going to be a really bad ending. So you just hang on to that rope for dear life. But when you finally let go, when you finally pursue that dream, when you finally said, I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to go ahead and make this happen, you find out that you were only 2 inches off the floor. You could have let go years ago. You can always climb back on. If your dream, if your vision, if your goal is to start your own business, no one's going to condemn you for trying and not succeeding, because you can always get a job back. It's not like a one-way, oh, I'm sorry, you tried to start a business, you didn't fail. Gone forever. See, in our line of work, you can start a business with what? Laptop, a domain, and a box of business cards. There you go. There's your recipe for success right there. Dell, GoDaddy, and Vistaprint, and you're off and running. But when you take charge of your life, you're doing what very few people are doing, and people will notice that. They're going to look at you differently because you're doing something that they're not doing, and they don't think that they can do it. You know what's worse is they don't think that you can do it. So your people will try to discourage you. You can't do that. What do you think you're doing? You don't do anything like that. And often the people that we're closest to, don't listen to them. Why? Because they haven't earned the right to tell you how to lead your life. Unless they've actually gone ahead and done what it is you're trying to do, they don't have that right to tell you you can't try. Thank you very much for your input. I'm doing it anyway. And then go on and make it happen. Because follow G-Mark's law of initiative, which says it's better to make history than to read it. Go out there and give it a shot. Do something important. And if you can't decide what to do because you're all fired up and you're like a little puppy running in circles and you're all of a sudden just going to pee on the carpet if you don't come up with some sense of direction. Because why? The number one reason that people don't get what they want is they don't know what they want. I want to be successful. I was talking to a guy earlier this week. He wants to start up a little business. How much you want? I want to make $20 million in 5 years. That's his goal. What do you need that costs $20 million? Can you itemize, please? He doesn't know. It's a fuzzy, he'll never get there because it's a fuzzy, amorphous goal. Because he hasn't pinned down exactly what he's willing to give in return for that $20 million. Identify your passions. What fires you up? What would you do anyway, even if they weren't telling you? Just don't tell them that part. That gets you so jazzed up, you're working on it till 2 or 3 or 5 in the morning, right? That's why we're hackers, right? Because we don't sleep at night. And write them down. Remember Napoleon Hill, the magic is in writing it down. Prioritize, and then reflect it morning, noon, and night. And if you read these things over and over again, you find out that having there's a little card in your pocket that says, this is my goal, this is what I'm going to be doing with my life, is going to go ahead and help keep you focused. Because when a bright, shiny object comes up, yeah, quick, check your reference card. Nope, that's not supporting it. And you choose in favor of your passions. But what if you're good at a lot of stuff? Then I'll give you one more rule that I've kind of figured out in life. All things being equal, do what pays the most. If you're good at brain surgery and you like fixing your Toyota, do the brain surgery 9 to 5. Do the Toyota on the weekend. Because I've met people who have tremendous capabilities that get caught up in their hobbies, and their hobbies become their lives. because they don't know how to assign value to the activities that they're doing. So it's time to take charge of your life. And this is my encouragement to you. Take initiative and commit to success, because you're at a tipping point you're never going to get today back. And you can't go back in time to change your past. And we find out that no matter what happened in your life, most greatness occurs just after the greatest failure. That's what the obstacles are for in life. They get rid of all your competition for you. That brick wall isn't meant to stop you. It's meant to stop everybody else who wants what's on the other side, because you have a burning passion, a written desire, a goal to get past that wall. And when all of a sudden you see that stuff and you run up against an obstacle, you go, all right, it eliminates competition. Because success isn't easy, but it's straightforward. But it requires a discipline, it requires a formula. So make stuff happen. And here's my gift to you. Did a little checking around and found out that I was able to get a complete copy of Think and Grow Rich. There's one version that they didn't renew the copyright on, and thank you to the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, it is now public domain. So, gmarkhardy.com, thinkandgrowrich.pdf, I got a special ToorCon version of the book. Take it home, read it, or go find one, or go buy one, then highlight it and magic marker it, because this is a source code for success in your life. And if you do all this, you can make things happen. Because one last GMARC law, there's no such thing as $1 million idea, only $1 million actions. You think of something brilliant? Great. I thought of brilliant stuff too. But it's the person who went and lived in their garage for 6 months eating macaroni and cheese, who built the product and built the company and mortgaged their home to make it happen. Those are the people who get the reward. So go ahead and do what you want to do. One of my favorite movies, Back to the Future, closing line there is, your future is whatever you make it, so please, make it a good one. Thank you very much. One last dedication, if I may. I lost my dad this year.